Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a rising VTuber and an artist, and today we're doing a little bit of a it's a little bit of a daisy chain this time. I'm not gonna lie, I probably made this more complicated than it needs to be or necessarily should be, but I think it's gonna be funnier that way. I think we're gonna have more fun this way. So, I wanted to tell a joke. So the idea is, okay, gonna just like sketch this out quickly so that the concept is understandable, right? Okay, so like you have a VTuber. I don't know why I made a capital B that time, right? You have a VTuber and you have their mascot normally, right? And normally the VTuber is like a normal person-sized organism, right? And the mascot is very frequently, I've seen some exceptions, but it's very frequently like a little thing. Like maybe like the size of a foot, sometimes smaller, sometimes a little bigger, but never really like human sized. Again, there are exceptions to this, but this is just what I've observed. What I really like, and I don't know why I think this is really funny or really endearing. I really like it whenever the VTuber is drawn their normal size, but for whatever reason the mascot characters are suddenly like put on like an insanely buff body. Like not like I don't know how to explain this. Like it's not like for a I don't know how to put it. It's just really funny to me whenever the mascot characters get like the normal like mascot sized bodies just like glued to like a bodybuilder's physique, mostly because it looks like they're the VTuber security detail. that is what I think is very funny, right? And I wanted to express this joke, but the thing is, I don't know any VTubers whose fans are like this or like they do this frequently. I know that Ina has like the macho dachis, right? Like the really buff takodachis that she has. But I wanted to try and do this like as a royalty free feels like a weird way to phrase this, but I guess that's what it is. I wanted to be able to do this without attribution. But that means I needed to design a VTuber and their mascot as well. And this is kind of a complicated process. Not always, but it is occasionally complicated. I've actually really wanted to do a concept that V has been throwing around, which is like a number station VTuber, but I'm gonna save that particular bird for a later feast. So I've come up with a most ingenious solution. I noticed, right? I've been making observations. I've been stalking certain browsing recommendations on my Twitch feed. I've noticed a couple of things. First of all, most VTubers, gonna circle this, right? For the mascot, it's very simple because they're all like Kirby sized, basically. They're the size that I imagine Kirby would be if Kirby was real. But in terms of the VTubers, what I've noticed is that for a lot of them, the concept that they present or that they represent is usually 1 to 4 adjectives. Like maximum 4. I think the maximum I saw, where at that point I was like, okay, that's a few too many things you're throwing around in there. You need to you need to go put some back. It's kind of like a complexity. There is like a complexity ceiling to designing as a thing. Like you can have things embody a few different things. You can bring in a few different references. I think one that's fairly good at this is like Uma Musume, in that their tendency is to make one overwhelming theme, and then with the smaller details of the character, just create a couple more like enhancements. Like for example, I remember when I was making my seahorse, I remember seeing in El Condor Pasa's page that they gave her like a leg, some kind of garter or something on her left leg, because she always ran in like a lot of the victory races that she ran on like she and her left leg was facing the inside of the track, something like that. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I'll do something like that for mine. So there are a couple of references that you can make, and there are a couple of ways you can bring in those icons and semiotics of different things. But I want to say that the maximum possible amount is 4. So step 1 is to grab those adjectives, right? Step 2, we are going to design one, and then step 3, so we design the VTuber, correct? Then step 3, we design the mascot. And then step 4, we draw the funny. This is the current scheme as it stands. You might be thinking to yourself, this is a lot of work to put in for a joke that probably will get like maximum 5 likes. But I am nothing if not dedicated to my flops. Flopping is not evil, flopping is necessary, and in some cases even virtuous. This is what I believe sincerely. That's kind of the mission statement for the stream as it is. Hang on, the background music seems to be a little low. Let me bump that up a little. I messed around with the volume mixing because I wanted to have the background music on during the collaboration with Ryan, but I think we ended up just not playing music during that time, which is fine as well. I think sometimes we gotta be alone with our thoughts a little bit. All right, so of these adjectives, right? My kind of to further speak on my observations, because I know y'all love hearing my thoughts. That's why you're here, right? To speak more on the adjectives that I found that like there's 4 main influences categories you could broadly use. The first one is like fantastical, right? So this includes things like mythical creatures, mythological creatures. Mythical and mythological are 2 different things, believe it or not. They're very synonymous, but to me, mythical creature is like a dragon, but a mythological creature is like an angel, right? Like mythological to me has more to do with like the religion of a specific region, or with a religion, period. But that's kind of like the big umbrella that I'm going for under fantasy. Next up is mundane. So for that's just stuff that exists in the real world, and there is some overlap, of course. That's the thing, is that there's a lot of overlap between these, and there will be more overlap between the different different categories that I'm going to mention as well. But for example, in mundane, you could have like a blacksmith. That's the thing that's like in a fantasy world, right? Fantasy worlds not only have like mythological blacksmiths, but blacksmithing is also very prominent in things like fantasy stories, things like that. But that was also a real job that still exists today. Like, there are still blacksmiths in operation. They're not like thylacines. They're still around. All right, the other category is animal. And this is a little bit distinguished from mundane in that the animals do exist in the real world. But like, I'm picturing this mostly as like the Kimono Mimi Fight Club, so to speak. Like, this is a containment zone for anybody that has like animal ears on like an otherwise humanoid model. Additionally, mundane feels more like stuff that is part of civilization as a whole. So things like, not an animal necessarily, but definitely like a zookeeper, an office worker, a DJ even. And then there's like science fiction. And some people might be like, science fiction and fantasy are basically the same thing. They're just like made up bullshit. And fair, but like it has very different flavors and visuals. Like a dragon can exist in a science fiction story, but if you tell somebody it's like a science fiction story about a dragon, they're like, "Oh, what?" They're a little bit like not necessarily they're not necessarily oil and water, but definitely like have different densities. Additionally, sci-fi has also overlap with like mundane stuff on account of the fact that astronauts, space travel, hacking, stuff like that. That is all broadly stuff that could fall under science fiction, but it's also stuff that happens in real life. There are just like ordinary, normal ass, no black trench coat, no Matrix bullshit, no funny business, straight fundamentals hackers in our world. I don't think there's a whole lot of animal sci-fi overlap, funnily enough. There is some animal fantasy overlap. I do think that does exist because of the fact that there is, there's like werewolves, were creatures, and like I said, this is mostly like to me, this is like this is like both the furry zone and people who are not fully committed to being a furry, like people who just like slap animal ears and a tail on like an otherwise normal human being. But yeah, there is some overlap between a couple of these. And actually, you know what? We could probably put mundane and animal too. There are people like there are very much like just if you see a person with a furry avatar, you have to ask yourself, okay, is the whole thing that they are the animal? Is that the thing, or are they the person who is being the animal? Right? It has different levels of its abstraction. Right. Okay. So I've been talking about these a lot. I've been thinking about this in quite a lot of depth, honestly. I actually wanted to make a video about this, but we'll see if I have the wherewithal to actually pull the trigger on that. I could get like maybe 3 of these. So my idea was, right, I would roll a 1d4. Let's just make this 1A, right? So 1A is to roll a 1d4. That's the worst 2 I've possibly ever drawn in my life. I don't know if that's how a 1d4 works either, by the way. But I'm going to roll a 1d4 because I said that my upper limit for this was like 1 to 4 adjectives. I've seen 1d3s. They look very silly. 1d4s... I think 1d4s have kind of a caltrop swag, which is why they're the lowest denominational common respected dice types. It's kind of like how we don't have a coin for like a 100th of a cent. Like a cent is like the absolute lowest we're willing to believe that anything costs. Okay, so step 1 is roll 1d4. 1A, rather. Step 1A is roll 1d4. 1B is to try our luck with a wheel of prizes, and those prizes, depending on how many we get on the 1d4. So if we get 1, we roll 1 wheel. If we get 3, we roll 3 wheels. And the goal for these, right, we're actually going to re-roll the 1d4. So we're going to assign... I have in my notes somewhere here the assignments for these outcomes. The first 1d4 roll is going to determine how many we have to select. The subsequent 1d4 rolls will determine which wheel we have to spin. That's the easiest way I can put it. So let's do that. Where is my browser history? Not my browser history, my browser source. We don't know each other that I need to share my browser history. Okay. So we're going to plonk down a single 1d4. Oh. Okay, I guess we just have 2. That's actually really appropriate, though. I will say, like I said, that 4 is like the upper limit of the ones that I see. But 2 is like generally the bare minimum. It's very rare to have like a pure play VTuber concept. Like there isn't like there's not like just a dragon running around. There's not just a like I don't know. There isn't just a hacker running around, right? Like very often you have a dragon who's also like a metalhead, or you have a hacker who also happens to be in a robot or something like that. It's two seems to be like the minimum number, and that makes a lot of sense because it's very difficult to build off of just one thing. If you introduce more adjectives like that, it starts to become easier to expand. It gives you more authority. It gives you more control over like what you want to have and what you don't want to have. It's also easier on the designer, I think, because it just helps you. It forces you. It doesn't. It forces you. It doesn't force you to be as creative, I guess. That's not a good way to put it, but it's the best way that I can think of to describe it. Like, if somebody tells you to just like draw a dragon, you're just gonna draw like the most dragon-y dragon that you could come up with, right? You're not. You need something. You either need to have been thinking extensively about like what the idea of a dragon means to you, or you need to be like an absolute number one dragon pervert on Earth, right? In order to like have a fascinating answer ready. Otherwise, you're just gonna draw either like, you know, depending on like your personal taste, you know, you're gonna draw like a Western fantasy dragon, an East Asian fantasy dragon, something like that. You might get saucy with it and draw a serpent even, but you know, there is both more freedom and also less structure, which is a dangerous game to play in most circumstances. However, with two, now you're up to something. Now you can actually start being like, okay, how do these two concepts interact? There's almost like a narrative that gets built up in your mind. Like, why would these two things need to overlap? Okay, so let's make just a quick stat sheet here, right? Okay, so we got two adjectives. So first roll and second roll. And just to lay this out, we have a 1 is a mythical creature, 2 is animal, 3 is jobs, and 4 is reroll, because again, I could not for the life of me find a science fiction wheel. And I don't have the science fiction aficionado chops to be making my own wheel for this. But if we get two hits that are the same thing, so like if we get 2 2s, 2 1s, 2 3s, we're just gonna double up. We're just gonna re-roll the wheel. It's gonna be very awkward if that's one of the mundane things. I just had a random wheel of jobs for the mundane one. I don't know how much that's gonna help. Or hit. I don't know how much that's gonna help or hinder. I don't know. I do think that mythical creatures mythical creatures and, you know, people with animal features hard carry any design. I feel like that's the ones that you see the most of. But it'll be interesting if we get something else. I would if this goes well, I'd like to expand on this concept eventually. You know, maybe make a wheel of our own. Okay, so what's going to be the next roll? 4. That's a reroll. Okay, let's try that again. A 2. That means, oh boy, it's animal time. Okay. All right, let's get rid of this. All right. So what's going to be the second one? A 1. That is mythical creature. Okay, that's going to be fun. Because it's going to be fun because like there's a lot of mythical creatures are already animals. So it's going to be interesting seeing how that's going to overlap. I gotta rearrange the text on this. I can't have people being like, oh, look at how cramped the chur is at the end of creature. That guy definitely ran out of space when he was writing this down. All right, so we've got our two concepts. We've got an animal and a creature. Let's go consult the wheels. All right, so this is a mythical creature wheel. This has, how many does this have? 150 plus options. That's good. We also have the animal wheel, which has also, I think, 100 plus options. Oh, no, okay. This interactive wheel helps you discover and memorize 195 animals from around the world. Perfect for students, English teachers, or anyone interested in expanding their vocabulary. Or for me, who I don't think. I mean, I guess you never really stop being a student, do you? All right, round and round. Where will it land? Nobody knows. The bonnacon. I don't know what that is. Jarvis, what's a bonnacon? Hang on. Bonnacon. Oh, what the oh, no. Oh, that's not good. I'm already not liking what we have to deal with. Okay. Okay. The bonnacon, also called bonassus or bonacho, ancient Greek, whatever that is, or something else, is a legendary creature described as a bull with inward curving horns, okay, and a horse-like mane. Medieval bestiaries usually depicts its fur as reddish brown or black. Because its horns were useless for self-defense, the bonnacon was said to expel a large amount of caustic feces from its anus at pursuers, burning them and thereby ensuring its escape. Why? For what purpose? This is off to a terrible start. Why? The first known description of the bonnacon comes from Pliny the Elder's Naturalis Historia. There are reports of a wild animal in Paeonia called the bonassus, which has the mane of a horse but in all other respects resembles a bull. Its horns are curved back in such a manner to be no use for fighting, and it is said because of this, it saves itself by running away, meanwhile emitting a trail of dung that sometimes covers a distance of as much of 3 furlongs. 604 meters? Contact with which scorches pursuers like a sword of fire. Pliny the Elder was just writing down whatever the fuck he wanted. Fuck this guy! The popularity of the Naturalis Historia in the Middle Ages led to bonnacon's inclusion in medieval bestiaries. In the tradition of the Physiologus, bestiaries often ascribed moral and scriptural lessons to the description of animals. But the bonnacon gained no such symbolic meaning. Why? Is it because it's the shit-yourself beast? Manuscript illustrations of the creature may have served as source of humor, deriving as much from the reaction of the hunters as from the act of defecation. We got the toilet humor mythical creature. This is whack. The Aberdeen bestiary describes the creature as using similar language to Pliny, though the beast's location is moved from Paeonia to Asia. In Asia, an animal is found which men call bonnacon. It has the head of a bull, and thereafter its body is the size of a bull's with the maned neck of a horse. Its horns are convoluted, curling back on themselves in such a way that if anyone comes up against it, he is not harmed. But the protection which its forehead denies is this monster is furnished by its bowels. Hold up, this writing is fire? For when it turns to flee, it discharges fumes from the excrement of its belly over a distance of 3 acres, the heat of which sets fire to anything it touches. In this way, it drives off pursuers with its harmful excrement. The bonnacon is also mentioned in the life of Saint Martha. Saint Martha? Is that the one who boxed the fucking Tarask? Hang on. Saint Martha and Tarascon. Oh yeah, there it is. Saint Martha with Tarask. A further legend relates to Martha then went to Tarascon, France, where a monster, the Tarask, was a constant threat to the population. The Golden Legend describes it as a beast from Galatia, a great dragon, half beast and half fish, greater than an ox, longer than a horse, having teeth sharp as a sword and a horn on either side, head like a lion, tail like a serpent, that dwelt in a certain wood between Arles and Avignon. Holding a cross in her hand, Martha sprinkled the beast with holy water. Placing her sash around its neck, she led the tamed dragon through the village. Damn, that's crazy. Okay. Saint Martha encounters and tames a Tarrasque, a dragon-like legendary creature said to be the offspring of the biblical Leviathan and the bonnacon. Hold up, what? The Leviathan? Okay. In this account, the bonnacon, here Bonacho or Onacho, is said to originate in Galatia. What a poor, unfortunate creature. Now, conventional wisdom, and my own gut reaction, to be quite honest, was to discard and draw, maybe reset the timeline a little bit, see if we could, like, get a better result. But this thing kind of grew on me a little bit. You know, as I was reading it, this is kind of growing on me. I don't think it's a good idea, but you know what? This isn't going to be a real person. If somebody ends up buying this as an adoptable or something in the future, I doubt that's going to happen, but in the event that it does, we might need to censor the stream. We might need to lose some of its... We might need to change it so that they're a Tarrasque rather than a bonnacon. Why would it exist like this? Why? Dude, people in like the 12th century thought this was peak humor. They thought this was like this is like Minions to them. Ay Dios. Alright, well I guess we got our mythical creature. Alabado sea Dios. So that's gonna be the bonnacon. Okay. What is... Okay, next up I think is just the animal. Right? And that's gonna be interesting. I hope we get another weird animal. And stop. We got crow! Okay, interesting. Huh. This one might be a toughie, actually. Hang on, so crow. Actually, hang on. Did the Tarrasque... Was the Tarrasque a winged creature at all? A great dragon, half beast and half fish, greater than an ox, longer than a horse, yada yada yada. Tail like a serpent. No, okay, no wings on the Tarrasque. Which is just as well. I know that the Tarrasque was co-opted by Dungeons and Dragons, and it became like a raid boss monster. So it's probably for the best that we don't have too much stuff going on. But yeah, let's just grab these guys, and we can start doing some funny stuff with the design. Okay. In terms of the bonnacon, do we have any pictures of the bonnacon where it's not shitting its ass actively? We don't, right? Like, there's no balm in Gilead for this beast. There's no respite for it. I mean, to be fair, when your main defense method is to just like strong diarrhea your way out of situations. It's kind of hard for your illustrations to feature anything else. Actually, hang on. Do you guys remember the public domain image archive? We went there a long time ago. Well, actually, was it all that long ago? I think it was last year at some point. But yeah, we were looking for the bonnacon. Oh no, okay, there are a couple of illustrations here. How about that? All of these are basically what I expected. Oh god, why is it red? When it comes to self-defense, skunks and spitting cobras have nothing on the bonnacon. If threatened, it fled. While fleeing, it defecated. Violently. According to Pliny the Elder, the excrement voided the animal's body with such explosive force that it could hit targets more than a football pitch away. Contact with its tongue was said to burn like a kind of fire, scorching hunting dogs and anyone not equipped with protective gear. There is some uncertainty whether the weapon was liquid or gaseous, superheated or acidic. God, okay. Okay. What I got on this one? Okay, no, it's also talking about it. Oh no, okay, PDR on the collection of bonnacons. Okay, cool. There's a whole library of these. Fabulous. Okay. Oh yeah, we are set here. God, what else is it? What other news do you have of this? When it comes to okay, yada yada yada. As with many mythical medieval creatures, the bonnacon was a composite. Head of a bull, mane of a horse, and its horns were bent inwards upon each other so as to be of no purpose for the use of combat. First described by Aristotle as a possibly distinct animal called the bonassus, the bonnacon was resurrected in medieval bestiaries due to the influence of Pliny's encyclopedic study of the ancient world. The natural history locates the dungy bull in Paeonia, roughly today is North Macedonia, but later writers elaborated its ethology, rehoming it in Asia. The Aberdeen bestiary, for instance, expanded the projectile's devastation to an area of 3 acres and blamed the bonnacon's convoluted horns for its upset stomach, the protection of which its forehead denies this monster is furnished by its bowels. Other naturalists seem to borrow the bonnacon's properties when observing novel fauna. Polish onagers, as studied in the 13th century by Gervase of Tilbury, guzzled water when threatened, expelling a blinding deluge from their nostrils. Bartholomeus Anglicus described a nameless Bohemian beast in the 11th century that shoots at hunters or dogs coming too close to it. This water horribly removes hair from and scalds whatever it touches. While many creatures in medieval bestiaries are laden with Christian symbolism, the bonnacon's appearance seems to be more of a gag, for both its victims and audience. Browsing the images gathered below, we might not know whether to laugh or duck. Hunters with ineffective shields gaze at the viewer as if pleading for our assistance, while choking on stench. The bonnacon rarely seems in pain, more so disgusted at what he has been made to do or taking visible pleasure in his pollution. Why is this one breathing fire? That was not part of its... That was not in the manual for it. Okay, let's grab this one. I do not want to sign up for your fucking newsletter. Don't talk to me about that shit. Okay, here's another one. I don't know, it just feels cruel to just have an animal that exists in this way. This one's got its junk hanging out, though. I don't think we can use this one either. The world is broad and humanity's history is long. It really is kind of a miracle if you think about it. We kind of dug this bed and now we have to line it, though. I don't know, I've gotten too attached to the ability that I'm going to be the guy that can do this. As for crows, I think most of us know what a crow is, right? I think most of us have like a vague idea of what a crow, like what is involved in the existence of a crow. It's crazy. I can look up a crow and I only have like this much. What about, hang on. Oh, here we go. This is more. I mean, I don't think that's a crow, but it's at least a bird, which is more than I can say for the other results. Is it just me, or are we kind of scarce on the crows here? Feels like there's not much crow action to speak of. Oh no, there is one. I do think we're gonna take on an almost like medieval bestiary kind of... Oh my gosh, look at this little cutie. Aww. I am the queen. Oh, that's cute. What's this one? Nature and biome. I don't know what this other bird is. This one looks chopped as fuck. But I know that that's probably a crow or maybe a raven. Definitely some manner of corvid. Am I crazy, or is like just two of these? Do only two of these actually like show crows in any capacity? Hang on, I know where to look next. Wikimedia Foundation, Wikimedia Commons. Here we go. All right. Picture of the day: TDK tape head cleaner cassette HC11 made of clear hard plastic. The plastic is birefringent and demonstrates internal stress as colored patterns when photographed using cross-polarization. Huh. I mean, it looks cool. Okay, crow. And we want license, no restrictions. Oh, hey, this one's very pretty. Also kind of fits the medieval theme that we're going for. Most of these just seem to be from a very productive day at the beach. Red key in its beak. This feels like it's symbolic of something. What's this about? This bird looks so angry. I wonder if this is from the same author as the one before. Source Pixabay. Oh, how about that? File history, yada yada yada. No pages that use this file. Huh. Weird. Yo! Holy shit, why does someone got a sword? Alright. I think we're out of birds to look into. Crow with Peaches. By Henry Lee McPhee. Huh. What's this painting about? Hang on. Original file, licensing. The author died in 1953, so the work is public domain in its country of origin and other countries and areas where the copyright term is the author's life plus 70 years or fewer. Hey Cypress, how you doing? File usage. Henry Lee McPhee. Hang on. Trying to lock it. I'm trying to lock in on the source of this bird painting. Crow with peaches. Doing good? How's the birds? They're doing all right. Although I'm a little tripped up by my own ambition. We were rolling some wheels in order to determine what the... So we're trying to design a VTuber, right? We're trying to make up a random VTuber so I can tell a joke with them and not have it be associated with any specific copyright or person's existence. Felt like the most ethical way to make a joke. And the thing is, we got two creatures. We got a crow as an animal, and we got this thing called a bonnacon as a mythical creature. And the bonnacon is a very special kind of animal. Its main method of self-defense appears to be shitting its guts out. Literally, explosive diarrhea is its main source of self-defense. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm willing to step up to the plate. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I wish I was fucking kidding. I only have one here, but literally every other picture of a bonnacon involves it shitting its guts out. I don't know why. The medieval bestiary illustrators thought it was funny. Also, apparently the poop is toxic. Like, it looks cool and then that. Yeah, I think we're gonna downplay the violent, explosive stomach expletives. Like, look at this. Like, look at the contrast between these. It's so much. Look at the shit-eating grin that this one has. God. Pliny the Elder, when I get you, you will be dealt with. I want to like Pliny the Elder. You know, a lot of the stuff that he said wasn't like particularly accurate, and sometimes it was just outright misinformation. But I can respect somebody trying to do the best with the resources they have in that time period. They didn't have internet back in those days. But like, bro, we really should have beat your ass for at least a couple of these. It's a lot. Okay. The good news is that like having that does help us a lot in terms of just like having a blue sky for our design. Because so Crow is actually going to be the one that's going to be more difficult to work with. Because bonnacon is already such a strong concept. But like, okay. Hang on, let me actually go grab the description of what this thing is like. So let's see. The mane of a horse, but in all other respects resembles a bull. Its horns are curved back in such a manner as to be no use for fighting. All right. We have Pliny the Elder on the record here. We're giving Pliny the Elder a bar. On the bright side, this kind of ensures that nobody will want to kind of claim the VTuber unless they're like absolutely not reading a damn thing. Okay. So okay. Normal text would probably be better for this. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay. So let's see. Mane. Okay, so horse mane. Horse tail? Question mark? Forgot to close the brackets there. Resembles a bull. Horns curved inward. Or back. I kind of like this one here where it almost looks like the horns are in a loop. Okay. And because of this, it saves itself by running away, meanwhile emitting a yada 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 yada. Okay, yep. Let's see. What else is there? Okay, so resembling a bull. What does that mean? So I'm guessing hooves. Cow theme? Question mark? I mean, bulls and cows are not the same animal. Let's not kid ourselves here. Bull tail. It looks kind of goat-ish. Or floppy ears as well. In terms of crows, what things do people normally ascribe to crows? I know that they are like so corvid mentality, some manner of ungulate. That beast has hooves for sure. Loud AF, okay. Loud or actually, you know what? I do know that crows can like mimic people's voices. So very vocal. Also, I misspelled Maine. I can't believe that. I never make mistakes like this. I wrote down horse mane like it was a fighting game character. Yo, 1v1 me on Old McDonald's SmackDown. What else is there? I know they have like shiny thing. Thumbs fighting her. That's absolutely. You're right, actually. Shiny thing obsession. Possibly thief. Okay. What else? What are other notable crow things? Hang on. Notable crow traits. Straight up Googling it. Crows, 10 astonishing facts, 16 remarkable facts. Okay, animalfiles.com lost the crow fact spread to scientific origin. Let's go see these 16 facts. Incredibly intelligent. Okay. Some of the smartest animals on Earth. Cognitive abilities rival great apes and even young children. Okay. They can recognize human faces. Okay. Crows are socially complex. Okay. They hold funerals for their dead. That's pretty morbid, but you know, I respect that. Crows can use tools. Okay. They understand causality. I know what they mean by this, but that's a really funny way of phrasing it. The crow, I showed a crow a plot summary of Berserk, and they understood it perfectly. They understand the flow of time. Yo, I asked a crow if they could predict the ending to Berserk, and they said like for sure, no sweat. One famous experiment involved presenting crows with a puzzle box containing food that could only be accessed by completing a series of actions in a specific sequence. The crows not only solved the puzzle, but showed signs of planning and foresight, choosing the tools and actions necessary to achieve their goal. Okay. Crows have regional dialects. Okay, that's pretty cute. They form lifelong bonds. That's pretty cute. Crows are problem-solving experts. Okay. They use symbols and engage in language-like communications, extremely adaptable. They remember kindness and hold grudges. They have a long... Okay, these are not... Crows are prominent in mythology and folklore. Okay, maybe this is something. Crows have held significant place in mythology, folklore, and cultural symbolism across the globe. In many cultures, they are regarded as messengers between the physical and spiritual realms, often associated with wisdom, transformation, and mystery. Okay. Prominent companions to Odin, the god of wisdom and knowledge. His two crows, Hugin, thought, and Munin, memory, would travel the world, bringing him information and insights. In Native American cultures, crows are often seen as sacred beings, representing change, adaptability, and the balance between life and death. Okay, interesting. Huh. Medieval European superstitions often link crows to witches or spirit of the dead. Despite these darker interpretations, modern perspectives increasingly highlight crows' intelligence and ecological importance, celebrating them as fascinating and resourceful creatures rather than harbingers of doom. Okay, interesting. Okay, how about you? What do you have to say? No, this is very comprehensive. Lifespan, diet and feeding, behavior, migration patterns. Their chatter the whole show. Loud cowbirds, quick cows, stretched out caws, and funky ee-aw caws that sound like they're gossiping. Huh, okay. Intelligence. Predators. They've got some serious foes eyeing them from above and below. Okay. Squirrels join the party too, scampering up trees to steal eggs when the parents aren't looking. That's crazy. Got finessed by a squirrel. For your progeny, no less. Fuck. It's hell out there. Okay, diseases and parasites. Oh. Okay. Adaptations. Crows are built like nature's all-stars. That's a really funny phrase. Crows are built like nature's all-stars, packed with features that make them the survival champs. Their large, curved bill is a multi-tool, perfect for gripping everything from squirming worms to tough nuts, bending just right for the job. Those strong feet aren't just for show. With sharp claws, they cling to branches, snatch prey, or even hold tools like pros. Their wings? Pure magic. broad yet nimble, letting them twist through trees or soar over fields with cyclic moves. That glossy black plumage doubles as camouflage in shadows and a shield against rain or wind. Their keen eyesight spots food or foes from a mile away, giving them an edge in any scrape. From beak to tail, every bit of a crow screams ready for anything in the world. Packed with features is such a way to talk about a thing that's alive. Hi, Adept. That is kind of crazy, come to think of it, but honestly, that's actually very helpful for my purposes. Reproduction. We don't really. Aw, baby crow. It's so ugly. Conservation efforts. Okay, crows as pets. Rarely kept as pets due to their intelligence and wild nature, but enthusiasts mimic urban and forest habitats. A spacious aviary with perches and puzzles suit their bird needs. Okay. I like the subtitle under the picture of crow baby. Yeah! The really tiny text. Okay. Farmers view them as pests for eating crops, yet value their pest control. Cultural festivals celebrate their mystique, promoting conservation. Okay, interesting. Between this and the... what's its name? Bonnacon's connection to the Tarrasque, it does sound like we're making like somebody who just terrorizes farms for fun and profit. Okay. Interesting facts. Masters of deception. They got gaslit by a crow. These clever birds engage in deception to protect their food caches. If they sense they're being watched, they may pretend to hide food in one location while secretly stashing it elsewhere. This level of strategic thinking highlights their problem-solving capabilities. Bro uses this strategy. Intelligent problem solvers, okay. Recognizing human faces, I've heard that one before. Cultural and mythological significance. In Chinese mythology, they represent the sun, with a legend stating that 10 sun crows once existed, but 9 were shot down to prevent the world from burning. In Hinduism, crows are believed to be messengers of ancestors, often associated with spiritual rituals and offerings. Interesting, okay. Might need to fact check that real quick. Crows live in tight-knit family groups, strong social bonds. Ability to mimic sounds, yup. In some cities, they've learned to drop nuts onto busy roads and wait for cars to crack them open. In Japan, they've even used traffic lights to safely retrieve their meals. Mysterious night roosting. Crows gather in massive flocks, sometimes numbering in the thousands, to roost at night. These communal gatherings provide protection from predators and allow information exchange. Scientists believe younger birds may learn from the elders during these nighttime assemblies. Okay, interesting. Facts. Sharing their knowledge. Yep. These birds are upskilling in these in these communal gatherings. I like how facts is in all lowercase. Okay, a group of crows is called a flock or a murder. The crows have a strong sense of smell. They have a weak sense of smell. Secluded high spots, not in their nests. They typically avoid shiny objects. Huh. Yeah, actually, why is it possessive? In the same tone as Bark's root beer, facts frequently ask questions. Do crows fly at night? No, their night vision is poor. The lonely crow seems to fly their mind at night. Okay, let me actually go back and eliminate the shiny thing obsession. I was probably thinking of magpies. Okay. Fly at night. Attack hawks to protect their nests and secure competition for food. Can crows talk? They can mimic human speech. Okay. I think this is enough ammunition, quite honestly. This is... We have a few interesting things here, so... Very adaptable. Curved bill. Comma. Strong feet. 3 question marks on that one. Not sure how we're going to show that off in particular. Um, wings, nice wings, adaptable wings, versatile wings. Pests to farmers. Scarecrows. Scarecrow could actually be something. Okay. I think this is. I do think that this is more than enough to get started. We can probably click a couple of these out. Okay. I don't know. Maybe. I was briefly considering like a centaur creature to have both the bird and the bull thing, but honestly, if we're going to include wings, winged centaurs feel like a bit much. You know what I mean? I feel like they could be really cool if you just gave them the space to be like. Okay, so to clarify, I feel like a centaur would need to have like albatross level wings in order to even consider being able to fly. I forgot how to draw. Hang on. That does also sound kind of awesome, though. That's what I was saying. I'm almost picturing like a. Hang on. I'm almost picturing like the equivalent of like a fantasy F-115 or something like that. What's that one that looks like a dumb kite with like a triangle taken out of it? No, F-115 is like a Formula 1 car. What about like, okay, so cloaking plane? Question mark? Yeah, this one. Hang on. Warplane cloaked with such materials could have achieved super stealth status. Yeah, you could make it like, stop talking about registering to read articles. I don't want to give you my email. I don't want to register for shit. I don't ever want to do anything like that. But yeah, I'm talking like the fantasy equivalent of one of these. I don't know what they're called, but that's like my take on it. Hang on. Something like this. This is what like my idea for like a Pegasus Centaur if for everybody's perusal. God. Something really funny about the phrase "I'm gonna getcha." I don't know why. Well, I know exactly why. It's because it's like it can be both threatening and very silly. Okay. But yeah. I don't know. Here's where like my ideas and like the ideas of like conventional VTuber design kind of fall apart, because my idea would have been like to make like a fuck off huge lady because of the fact that this is supposed to be the size of a bull. But at the same time, it's also like, oh, it's supposed to be a crow, and also like this is supposed to be like a VTuber that we could conceivably say is a real person, but you know, we both know that it isn't. I don't know. It's a delicate balance we have to strike here. Maybe we can just use a default body type. Fuck it. The wings would have to be toggleable. That's true, actually. If going one way or another. We'd also have to figure out something about the beak. Okay. I wish there was just like a randomized person button for this. 160 centimeters is a little small. I'm gonna make her like 175. That's like 5'9". She deserves that much. Easy. Make the beak like a plague dart mask they wear around their neck. I'm liking that idea, honestly. You know what? If we are going for like a bandit kind of vibe, because of like the whole stealing from farmers thing, you know what? We can make that work. Okay, maybe just a little bit more. We just need to emphasize a couple of things. You know, for the benefit of blending in. I think this is honestly fine. This is like a very reasonable thing, very reasonable base canvas, all things considered. Let's just go with that. Okay. I still really like the phrase Corvid mentality. Something about that is really charming me. Okay. Actually, real quick, let me get a picture of a scarecrow in here. Perfect. Why is it huge? Maybe like over here. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so easiest part is definitely like the horse's main thing. So I was just gonna kind of curve around like this. Maybe we give her an undercut. Gonna give her a bull's tail. But I like the idea of like having a horse tail as well, so I'm gonna actually make the second half of the tail like horse-like. This will be a two-parter tail. The Uma Musume brain rot is still like forcing my hand a little bit. That looks more like a chili pepper than a tail. So true. Honestly, I am glad that Uma Musume has still like had a strong grip on people. I don't know. The like first week of release was very much fun and games, and everybody being like that little dog picture with the propeller hat and the swirly lollipop. I'm glad to see that some people still haven't left the kind of honeymoon stage. It's a fun game. It does seem like a lot of fun. Okay. I had to take a pact at my old monastery to never play a gacha game after I left university, though. I'll maybe one day I'll figure out how much fun it is. Maybe one day they'll release, like, you know when they end of service games, and nowadays the honorable thing to do is to give them a whatchamacallit, like an offline version that has all the features unlocked. Like that one Mega Man gotcha game that went end of service, and now it's just a full normal game you can just buy on Steam. Maybe when it becomes like that. Or I could start looking into Princess Mickey. I heard that those are also very much like what Uma Musume is about. Every gacha should do that? Yes, I agree. God. Do y'all remember World Flipper? I played World Flipper for a little while when it came out, and it was a lot of fun. I think it ended of service, but I don't remember whether it managed to get the retirement package like that. I really like these horns. I don't know, this one in particular just seems so charming. Okay. Maybe some kind of nose ring or something? But yeah, these are very distinctive horns. I don't think I've seen horns like this on the market, so I think those could be like the main charm point. Its horns are curved back, strong feet, hooves. I feel like I'm getting an idea here, but I'm not sure what. Okay. But yeah, we've captured the main bonnacon elements, but we don't have much in the way of crow stuff. Legs could be hooves and the hands could be bird talons. Wait, no, you're right, actually. I did actually think of another thing we could use the beak for, but yeah, you're right, actually. Hang on. Let me get at a good look at like some crow talons real quick. Okay, okay. Huh. Who the fuck is this? Doesn't look like any bird I've ever seen of. Okay. Oh god, okay. Don't show me that, okay. This one just looks so nonplussed at this person just like manhandling its talon. Like what are we? What are we doing here? Why you grab me? Why you do that? This caption is killing me. The beautiful feet of a carrion crow. Okay. What I'm thinking is that instead of having the crow feet be like a hand or talon dealy, what we could do is have it be almost like an insignia that she has. So in terms of that, the talon... Actually, hang on. So, hang on. Crow diagram. Getting into some real nitty-gritty... Large beak, all black, bird big. Okay, that's very helpful, thank you. Hang on. Make crow anatomy? Okay, this is closer to what I was thinking. Okay. This doesn't see. Okay, this one's specifically a crow. A lot of these are like bird agnostic, it feels like. Diagram of a bird skeleton. I love the ones that look like they're hand drawn. This is very. You can like feel how much love went into that. Okay. Okay. I can work with that. Since she is supposed to be like a... I do... It does sound like she is supposed to be like some kind of pest or something. Just based off of like the general Western perspective about crows. Kind of a loudmouth, kind of an annoying person. Maybe like a wide beak-like mouth as well. Very determined look in her eyes. Righteous Pineapple U. Cheap viewers on streamboot.com. Remove the space. Yeah, I don't think so. Calls themselves Righteous Pineapple. Is actually a scoundrel. Make it make sense. Okay. Okay, so maybe... I don't know, you can dress bandits up in any old shit, I feel like. Like, maybe she should just look like a Skyrim bandit, I don't know. That might be something, hang on. Skyrim bandit. Okay, yeah. Okay. That's too casual. It does feel like it has to be at least a little bit fantasy-inspired, the outfit. I mean, I don't know. All these dudes are wearing these plain-ass, cinched waist, long sleeve affairs, so maybe we should try and go for something like that. Use what is available to you. The premeditation of weapon usage is despicable. Okay, maybe... Hang on, actually, this could be something. Hang on. Some kind of sash in the middle here. Okay, how do we... Oh, actually, we can use the silhouette of one of the flying crows. Yeah, like this one here. I don't know if you can easily tell that that's a crow, but it is what it is. And we can have the talon as almost like a dagger tucked away here. Actually, it reminds me a little bit of this one sword that I had back when I was playing Yakuza Ishin. Or Like a Dragon Ishin. It had a very similar handle to this. It was a fairly late... I think it was like a mid-game weapon, but I almost immediately like transformed it into like a better later game weapon, but that's... I'd very distinctly remember it there being like a weapon and looking at it and being like, why the fuck is there a weapon where it's just like a chicken foot? What's up with that? Struggling to draw a sheath for the knife, that's fine. Actually, maybe we... Yeah, hang on. I need to redraw where the handle goes, because having it be over the sash is a little bit... Hang on. Kind of rethinking my whole game plan here, now that I know that I'm going to need to put the knife in a sheath. Okay, something like this would be ideal. Okay. I guess we could turn the fact that these kind of go a little only into like the knees or something into a skirt, huh? Some kind of pleated skirt or something, yeah. Slightly smaller mouth, I think. Still definitely like pointy like this, but not super wide. Feels like it's missing something from up here, but we can figure that out in just a minute. I am kind of tempted to... Hang on. I gotta Google something real quick. And I'm gonna need to do it in safe mode because I don't want Potemkin feet to show up in my search history. Okay, hang on. Potemkin boots might be better, come to think of it. Okay, yeah, here we go. Yeah. Here. It's also... Hang on. I'm gonna derail this bit just because I also want to point out that when I googled Potemkin boots, I did also very much get the picture from Battleship Potemkin, that censored film. God, okay. No, but I wanted to point to something in Potemkin's stripe design. You see how his feet have like these huge metal plates on either side? I was thinking we could probably mod those into looking like hooves. Something like that. Hang on, what do bull hooves even look like? Those are his hooves? God. Okay, interesting. I'm learning today that bulls' hooves don't look very comfortable to walk on, but they should be more than doable with this kind of thing in mind. Honestly, I am low-key obsessed with Potemkin's hooves. Like, those cannot be comfortable. That is not, I mean, unless they, I don't know, it's not for sure metal. It looks like it's made of metal. I don't know. I've been getting like flat foot pains recently, right? I haven't noticed it up until now, but I have like very flat feet, actually. And I've only recently been taking steps, pun intended, to correct that. And like I'm learning about all different kinds of different stuff to like stop flat feet from like hurting you, which is like, oh, you know, get shoes with wider toe boxes. Don't rely fully on orthopedics. Make sure to do these stretches and exercises, that sort of thing. And so I'm just looking at these and I'm thinking, man, you cannot like wiggle your toes around in there at all. Very rigid footwear. I don't know if this actually looks good either. God, okay. Fuck it, we ball. This is the first draft. I honestly did not expect this to be finished in like one stream. I do think that I'm gonna need to, you know, take this away as homework eventually, but at the same time it's like try to do as much as I can. Okay. Now, conventional VTuber protocol is to have absolute territory up here, so we're gonna do that. I don't know, it feels very bizarre to try to think of it that way. Like, I'm trying to make this into a design that anybody could look at and be like, oh yeah, that's probably just some kind of no-name VTuber we've never heard of who commissioned this drawing or something like that. Right? Like, that's kind of like the vibe I want to have here, but like, it's very difficult to do that. I might need to do some more field research while I'm at it. to kind of like get the right texture in my mouth, so to speak. To begin identifying the appropriate traits. Actually, how do Potemkin's boots end? Okay, now they just go... The boots end by going directly into his huge balloon-sized calves. Good to know. Whoops. Also realizing that I need to put this, like, more in the middle here. Actually, come to think of it. Hang on. Okay, like this. Okay. Maybe? Hang on. Actually, maybe instead of having the ordinary shirt collar, we go this kind of shirt. I don't know what this kind of shirt is called, Like it's like a tube top, but like it also has the sleeves attached. Let's see. And you know, if we're trying to follow conventional VTuber design, these would probably be tied in bows or something. It needs to have more decoration. Or maybe, okay, let me try and brain something out back here. So, crow feet look like this. Is there any way we can turn this into like a ribbon shape? I'm seeing some potential, but maybe kind of like. Yeah, no. Let's give up on that dream. But maybe as a strap on the chest instead? Yeah. Okay. And that's how we... Okay. Yes, alright. And that's how we're going to do the dress up here. Okay. Yeah. This is making sense to me. Somehow. Ideally, it makes sense to everybody else too, but it's fine. As long as I see the vision, I can deliver on the end product. Okay. Really pushing this whole idea of like the crow's foot to its absolute limits. But that's good. That's important. We need that. I mentioned before how it can be very difficult to create things without having when you have absolute freedom and zero limitations. But it's also very difficult to create things when you have zero limitations. Hang on. Maybe like... no. Okay. So maybe instead of being connected to the top, then the... Hang on. I'm gonna curve these outward. She needs more hip. Okay, Ooh, wait, hang on, I got it. We'll lower the place where the arm warmers, I guess that you would call them, kind of align. And we're gonna give them the crow wings. Might also move the tail a little bit here. Okay, and then... Ooh, wait, what if they're like almost... Oh, hang on. Okay, so what if the arm warmers are only like partly laced and the rest... And there's like a hole here in the middle, so hang on. So we're gonna go like this and then like this. That silhouette on that looks fucked, so maybe not. Hang on. Maybe like... Is there such a thing as bird wing sleeves? If I Google that. Okay, I'm getting bird wing sleeve tattoos. Oh, hey, this is cute, actually. Hang on. This could be something. Yeah, okay. So maybe still with these here, but maybe with... Like this. Okay. I also still like the idea of having holes in the arm warmer, so maybe a little something like this, and... almost like that. Nice, alright. I do feel like there's something missing. Like having them jut out like this would be really nice, though. So maybe... hang on. Trying to think about how these would look like from... hang on. So maybe are there like wing arm bracelets? Hang on. So wing armband. Oh, okay, not what I had in mind necessarily. But if we have something like this, that could work also. I was thinking about it the wrong way. It doesn't have to be both of them going outward. It could be a little bit like this. And that way the silhouette is also preserved. Okay, yeah. God, I'm glad that there are so many people on Earth who are smarter than I am. Who have already made the effort of thinking, wouldn't it be sick if you could wear a wing on your arm? And then like they have like 5 different answers for it. Thank heaven for people who love the things that they create. Okay. Outside looking without the... I can't help but notice that we might be missing maybe a solid third of the of the body when we take away the model, so maybe we still have some work to do. I'm trying to not underestimate it, but it does seem like just the way to go is to just introduce some thigh highs or something. I don't know, they have to be thematically appropriate high thighs though, which puts us in a bit of a pickle. Maybe a hood? No, that's too much. May have a collar? No, that's too much. I'm considering co-opting what we have up here for the armbands for the thigh highs, but it's like a voice is telling me that there's something we can do different we can do. There's another path. Hmm. And actually, I might curve the wing inward a little bit too, just to make it look a little bit more like the horn. Maybe one of these paintings can help. What kind of fuck-ass tree that they got back here anyway? That looks... It looks like it had a mushroom wilting out of it. Hmm. Actually, maybe we can introduce this diamond pattern. Yeah, to the middle here. Okay. We have that. We are going to introduce 3 pips on the shoes to go like with the Talon theme. I'd say some kind of fur tuft for the socks, but the diamond pattern seems like it wants to be included. That's what I'm saying. Like the diamond pattern is kind of nice with it. That's why I kind of added it to create a boob window and everything. But like, actually, we can add the diamond pattern to the side of the skirt too. Why not? More cutouts. Why not? Also, hi Jupiter. Actually, fur tufts for the socks. Huh. I'm honestly digging it. Hang on, I think that might be a good way to avoid an issue that I was foreseeing, which is that the Potemkin hooves were a little bit too harsh. But if we add the some furry pom-poms at the end here, that could actually really lower the kind of a harshness of it. Good thinking, Jupiter. That being said, curved back in such a manner to be no use for fighting. Ooh, wait, hang on. What if we just made the top of the shoes themed after the horns? Marketable fuzzy slipper merch with steel toes for intruder kicking if you get interrupted at home. I've always said that what we do need are some... I've always said that no home is complete without a pair of steel-toed Crocs in the house. Which I know is a real thing. I don't know when I looked it up. I don't remember why I looked it up, but I know for a fact that on stream I found out that steel-toe Crocs were in fact a real thing. Let me see if I can pull up some pictures of them. Oh, yeah. Nice rugged pair of steel-toe Crocs. New, only wore to work one day, got fired. Could really use the cash. $100 or best over $200 or best over 100. God. I was thinking more of something like this, just like the caps are inside of the shoe, but honestly, having the cap on the outside of the shoe kind of goes hard. God, imagining some dude with like steel-toe Lightning McQueen Crocs. Cosplayers when they want to be comfy. Nah, with the pinstripes, you're killing me here. That's brutal. They're a ball fake. God. The Timber Crocs would be kind of phenomenal of a sight to see. I don't know. I feel like if we scroll down for a little while, we're gonna hit some real gold. What the fuck is this? Why are you in the hell dimension? These look kind of neat. Gomez, no! God. I actually do have a pair of Crocs in my house. I don't know if I said this story recently. I have a pair of black Crocs that I bought for the wintertime because I can't wear my indoor chanclas when it's like negative 15 degrees out, right? And after a while wearing them, I started to notice my feet going super numb. I'm like, oh man, my circulation must be getting really bad. But then I stopped wearing them for a little while and my circulation went back to normal. So I think there's something about the texture of them that fucks with my circulation. Because the other day, I was talking earlier about how I found out I had flat feet. I bought myself some flat feel soles and I put them into the Crocs and I can wear them normally and they actually feel really good now. So it's genuinely something about like the pattern at the bottom here that fucks with my circulation. The human body is as bizarre as it is beautiful. Okay. And actually what I might do is I might just add a couple of like rotations to the end of these curls here and there. There we go. I still can't believe we got the fucking bonnacon as our gotcha pull mythical creature. Can you imagine that shit? Imagine you're in like some kind of Holy Grail war, but instead of people from history, it's like mythical animals, right? Imagine if you're the guy who gets paired up with the bonnacon servant. You would never live it down. I think your Holy Grail wish in that if you ended up winning it was just to erase everybody's memories of your participation. You'd have to go into witness protection if you got your wish one way or another. I'm gonna make the caption for when I post this like I had to Google what a bonnacon is, and now so do you. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the person who is going to use the model suffers from IBS or something. Maybe that would help some kind of like. What was that term from Pacific Rim? Like drift compatibility with the model, with the character. Drift compatibility is like when you can interface with somebody else, but I feel like it should also be, I don't know, is there like a term for like when you can pick up the, it's like the idea of like intuitiveness, but also with like integration to a machine. Shit compatibility. We're shit compatible. God. Oh no. No. God. What if you got transported to like what if you got hit by a truck and you got transported to like a Pacific Rim universe and you get into the robot cockpit and it's just two toilets, no stalls, no nothing. God. You know what? There's a lot of things that are wrong with this world, but at the end of the day, this stupid buck of life of mine ain't so bad. It's not a bad thing being human. It's not a bad thing living in this world that we live in. If you really take the time to count your blessings, boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I fight kaiju on company time. You know, I bet in a deleted scene from the actual Pacific Rim, they have the bonnacon method of deployment for that metal sword that they bring out sometimes at the fights. To be fair, that would give you the bonnacon pulse jets would give you some insane air dash capability. From everything that I've seen, these knee socks need to like be attacking her thighs, so everybody's so obsessed with like blood flow constricting knee socks. Like, I get it, I get why, but I feel like the novelty of it wore off a while ago for me. Like, now I see it and it's like, I mean, is that comfortable? I don't know, I've developed more empathy. It's not fun to think about designs in that way, but like it really isn't. I don't think this is a healthy approach to looking at designs. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you gotta be yourself. Imagine thinking, oh, I feel bad about remembering that time my classmate had an accident in elementary school, and you hear a familiar voice coming from this VTuber. God! No, please! That's so funny! Ay, Dios. Oh, God. That shit's like a light novel title. My friend who had an embarrassing accident when we were childhood friends is now back as my Oshi? Question mark? Exclamation point. That shit's gonna go on for 6 volumes, and they're not even gonna kiss at the end. You know, at the end of the day, you do have to give some credit to light novel titles. They don't play about what they fucking involve. There's a meme, right, that said that like nowadays YA books are all the same shit. Like it's called like an office desk of bones, or this lamp I built of ash, or like this calendar I rent from Skin, or some shit like that. It has like this very, it's trying to sound very deep, and it's sometimes difficult to triangulate what the actual plot is about. In light novels, at least, they have the guts to waste your time for 5 seconds only. You know, you don't have to flip around to read the blurb or anything. The book is titled some shit like "My dinner plates came to life, and now my black mold is my girlfriend!" Exclamation point question mark. And you can just like continue like glazing your eyes over the rest of the book section. You don't need to waste your time and be like, "Oh, neat cover. I wonder what that's about." No, you just move on. You know it's not for you. You can move. You can. It doesn't waste your time. It doesn't. It doesn't fuck around with you. God. I am trolling, by the way. I don't know. Sometimes you look at like there's this Humble Bundle, right? I looked the other day. I sometimes look at the Humble Bundle site to see if there's like any good deals on anything. And I remember that post because one of the current bundles is for a book author's book collection, right? And no offense to this author, but it illustrates a point very well. Like, Witch King of friggin' City of Bones, the Book of Isle Rien, Wheel of the Infinite. Like, I like these sound compelling, but at the same time, it does feel very very symptomatic of the issue that I've been describing. Much like scammers, they filter the audience down to those who believe in it. That's actually a fair point. You know what? That is almost a form of damage control. I respect that shit, though. You know, I do believe that if you're going to sell some garbage, I do think that you should at least label it as such. I do feel like that's why we have semiotics and the idea of like, you know, genre titles in the first place, right? You know, like, we have, like, Harlequin books that are called, like, A Night of Passion, or, you know, in the throes of lust in the halls of the Mountain King or some shit like that, because they also understand the kind of audience they have. It's not a bad thing. It's like it's almost, it's like Jupiter is saying, they're almost like filtering out for their specific audience, and that's good. That's helpful. We like I made fun of it just a little bit ago, but that's doing the public a good service. That's doing its own fans a good service. I wonder if I can almost make like like an Escher style crow pattern. No, that wouldn't fit in there. Also, I'm gonna pull back on the idea of like making the thigh high bands the same texture as the arm bands. I don't know. There's something we can do here. I can feel it. I can feel it in the wind that there's something we can do here, but I don't know what. Maybe something to do with the horns, or I don't know. Does this scarecrow have any good ideas? Furry legs. Who said that? I mean, I do actually want to give her a furry back. I do want to. Hang on. If I may, I learned this neat trick a while ago. I think I learned it for art fight stuff. I learned that if you just copy and paste the front of the model, flip it around, and then just start erasing details like this, you can actually very easily make like the back view of anything. It's going to take a couple of seconds to really illustrate this, but hang on. But yeah, there you go. Like, the moment I remove these collarbones, it's going to be a halfway competent kind of what do you call? A halfway competent back rendering. Had to stop myself like 5 times from saying back shot. That's not what this is. Okay, but yeah, I did actually want to give her like a furry back almost, like, because this is supposed to be like the mane of a horse, right? I kind of wanted to go like almost like that, you know? Have it kind of have the fur kind of continue until like the small of her back. I feel like this is also a charm point. This should also be categorized as a charm point. But yeah, I don't know about the legs though. I mean, maybe, hang on. Maybe. My natural instincts as a guy who likes to do interesting things are kind of at war with like the mission statement of this to make like a very generic looking VTuber. And you know, when we might have already kind of that ship might have already kind of sailed. I mean, not really though. Like this still has a lot of like the standard VTuber trademarks. I think we could like sand off a couple of edges to make it less interesting, and that would really like make the picture, but like not too many, right? Like I said, I'm gonna need to no matter what, I'm gonna need to take this away and work on it in the back office. But like, I'm trying to think of What else is there? Oh wait, I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking correctly. We could do so. I mean, Okay, no, we can do that. So here's where I'm at. We create a ring, but, and I'm holding up my finger, but it's not just going to be a ring. It's also going to be. Hang on. It's also going to follow this kind of like bird feather pattern for the sleeves, where it's like on the sides it has like this thing. I don't know, how does that look? Something about the feet is bothering me. I don't know, maybe we don't need the horns to delineate the boots from the rest of it with like this. I don't know, does it look too much like she's in a chicken costume this way? Well, actually, Jupiter's kind of winning on this one because he still look like furry legs. Leg warmer girl? I mean, maybe. I don't know, I feel like we're getting a bit too away from like the mission statement of this being like a bandit woman, so maybe we can try and do something like that. I mean, Maybe. Maybe there's something else we can do, something that we haven't been considering. I do like the idea of removing the boots, though. I do like the idea of not having to delineate the boots as much anymore. Really, we don't have a lot to work with, do we? You know what? When in doubt, just go for minimal stuff. To be honest, this is something that I'm thinking about as well frequently. We don't need to... If this is going to be a VTuber, right? Thinking about it realistically, this is going to be a VTuber. We're not going to pay much attention to the bottom half of her body, since the top half will be the one that's mostly interacting with the audience. Sometimes simple is better. Okay. Being top-heavy is an authentic VTuber design. Yeah, in more than a few different regards, being top-heavy is a traditional method. God. Okay. Rolling my wrists in their sockets, warming up. I think we have enough juice to maybe make the mascot character and maybe shade this as well. I think that's only going to take another half an hour, and I think we have more than enough. Maybe another 15 minutes even. Okay, so for the mascot characters, or like fan mascot, right? I am thinking it's going to need to be very similar, but like maybe more pig-like. So, but maybe more like... You know what I'm almost thinking of a little bit? Is that character Ponygon from Satchbell. Or Gashbell. I'm sure you have a much more beautiful vision, but I did imagine a flying poop. I don't think I can. I don't think I got the flying poop in me. Yeah, I don't think I got that in me. Have you all ever seen Pony Gone from Satchbell? Have you seen this creature before in your life? I don't know. I remember I have so many fond memories of Satchbell since it was like one of the last shows that I got to see dubbed in Spanish before I left Ecuador in my childhood. So it has a warm place in my heart. Some of those the jokes in there were dog shit, but I will always have fond memories of that little blonde freak eating the hell out of some fish. Hang on, gosh, Bill, fish eating. Like, there's this very specific face that the little guy makes when he's eating the fish. Like, you can see his fucking choppers and shit when he does that. What a fascinating little series that was. You know what? I'm gonna make this motherfucker bipedal. They've earned it for being IBS warriors together. Needs to be, like, balanced out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Gonna maybe elongate their legs just a tiny bit, not just a little marshmallow nubbins. Why does it look so forlorn? I made its eyes like that on purpose because I wanted it to have like a peaceful look, but it just looks sad. With, you know, good reason, but all the same. Gonna give the little guys like very fluffy hair. Standing very politely like a baby pangolin. Is there anything else? Oh, right, a tail. I'll admit that I thought I wouldn't have the chops for this because I'm not normally a toilet humor guy, but you know what? We managed to somehow steer clear of that. I'm sure somebody who has a more sophisticated palate than mine would be able to lean on the theme a little harder, but I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish with what we have. I'll just make a grayscale one for now. Oh yeah, I should have flipped the canvas at some point, shouldn't I? Well, I'm not too worried about the proportions looking off, since we were using a 3D model. Okay. Oh, actually, what we should do as well is mark the bowls with the symbol that she has on her clothing. Actually, maybe that's one thing we can do for the blouse here. Yeah, okay. Maybe an arm tattoo? Is that too much? Who knows? Maybe we can make this part smaller then. I don't know. I feel like the way that we have... I don't know. There's something very specific about the flavor of the mark that gives off very, like, murder cult feeling. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like the little guys are going to be sacrificed to some kind of god of assassination. God. Being the god of murder in whatever local or regional pantheon you occupy must be kind of a raw deal, right? Everybody who wants to fuck with you is either a weirdo or, you know, they're probably cursing your name. Where the hell did I put her arms? Oh, they're like almost entirely hidden. Right, okay. I'm mildly debating whether or not black is the right color for this. I can probably turn it into like a pink or something. But right now we're just mostly figuring out values. Okay, and then over here. We'll use the same color for anything that's supposed to be golden or like bright and metallic. So for instance, the armbands. Maybe the hair? Definitely the horns. Maybe a little brighter for the eyes, too. Let me tell you, one of the things that's going to be most difficult for me to adjust is to like make the sign language such that the eyes are more detailed. That's going to get my ass hard. Did I accidentally make a second layer here? We can actually just paint this slightly darker. No, maybe lighter color. Yeah, okay. We can also do another bit down here by replacing this part here. That looks about right. Okay, and yeah, we can add a couple more details of like feather flaps on the wings here. What we could do is almost like a gradient hairstyle. I feel like those are pretty in vogue. Hang on, so select color gamut, this one here. And we can just deselect everything up here. Oops. Let's try that again. Okay, that should be good. We can then do foreground transparent. Oops, forgot this section. Let's try that again. Okay, yeah, we can. We're working with something here. I'm not sure if it's exactly. I don't think we're working with gas. We're cooking with gas here. Definitely some kind of more advanced processed accelerant of some kind. We're cooking with coal. We're cooking with coal on this one, lads. We're cooking coal. We're cooking with coal on this one. Okay, then we can do a fun little effect on the chest here that I learned how to do this a little bit ago. So what you do is you basically grab the area of the chest, you use the gradient upside down, and then with the original color you kind of shade where the light still hits. Like this, and then you diffuse everything else. So maybe with the airsoft brush. Something like that. And hey presto, now there's boobs there. Okay. Maybe just a little bit on the area under the chin. Might add a little bit of pure white here for the medallion. And we can use the same color for the tail. Maybe we can use a slightly darker color for the... No, it would have to be the same color as the hair, but... I'm kind of wondering what the right move is for the tail here, because if we make it the same color as our skin tone, that's gonna look a little bit odd. Maybe, like, semi-furred? I think that's the way to go. That might also be good, though, because then we can connect it to the hair back here. Yeah, that works, that works. Hmm. Yeah, darker color on the stockings does seem like the right call. I keep calling them stocking, knee socks, thigh highs, or whatever. They all mean basically the same thing to me, even though I know they're probably very different. Like, I understand fundamentally that they're not the same thing, but they're close enough together that I can just flip the words around. Everybody will understand. Maybe the darker fur is on the... Yeah, that'll do. I don't know why I made the mascot character such a pathetic little sad-looking thing, but I kind of dig it. I mean, honestly, I would also have that expression if I knew my role in life was to be the the beast of Pepto-Bismol, so to speak. As it were. Okay. I honestly think this is pretty good for now. I think what I am going to do is I'm going to use a gradient map to at least add a splash of color to the affairs. Kind of don't want to make her blonde. Ooh. Hang on, this one's kind of speaking to me in terms of just the... Instead of having it be black, it's going to be like a dark blue or a bright blue. Honestly, this could work. I don't know, maybe if we... Huh. Let's keep shopping around, because this one is also pretty good. Let's not tie ourselves down so early on in the game. This one's actually really cool. It's very aggressive. I'm really liking the orange vibes on this one. I like that the hair is kind of like this greenish color too. I don't know, this one's really good. This one's also kind of interesting. A lot of these are really good. This is why I like playing around with color gradients on black and white. It's very rewarding as a process. Like, look at, even this one is really interesting in terms of just the color balance. What I'm also really liking as well is that this means we've been doing a really good job on the balancing of colors, because you can tell that this is still pretty much following the 60-30-10 rule, I think, pretty well. Yeah, like 60% black, 30% blue, and 10% green. So at least our color balancing is on the right track. So many of these look really good. This one just looks red, but, you know, can't win them all. God, one of the gradient packs that I use is this one called like CB gradients, right? I got it off of a sale, I think, that was going on. I think they make a lot of their packs free to use, which is really kind of them. And I love some of the colors on some of these. Like this one's called barbecue. There was another one that we clicked on earlier called gamer. This was kind of interesting, honestly. I don't know. I think my favorite one is still... Which one was it? I think it was this one... Not that one. It's a little bit before that. It's a little bit after that one. I don't know. A lot of this is just self-effacing kind of deliberation. In the end, we know that the design at least is very stable, and I think that's a priority number one. So it's so fun to look at the different pretty colors. I don't know. It's this is for me. This is my indulgence for the time being. Wait, which one was this? Okay, this is the one that we were just looking at. I don't know, this one's kind of speaking to me. I haven't seen one that makes me go like, yeah, no, this is the one that it's gotta be. I am definitely leaning to kind of some kind of warm color palette for the main outfit, even though that's not very Crow-like, I'm aware. But to be fair, the Crow and the Bonnacon thing were just like jumping off points. If they're not helping, we shouldn't let them kind of overrule any better ideas. And honestly, I'm really feeling the hell out of this reddish color scheme. Okay. I think that's pretty good for now. Yeah, we've accomplished our mission for today. Whew, okay, what are we... I kind of forgot what I was supposed to do after stream. Wait, right, announcements. We usually start with that. I'll be playing Hollow Knight on Saturday. That's going to be very exciting. What are we doing? You know what? Peach is live. Let's go say hi to her. Alright, in the meantime, yeah, I'll be back on Saturday with Hollow Knight, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later. And have a good weekend. Happy Labor Day weekend. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.